What's up everyone? So today I have the Prusa Mini. We're going to go over its features, its price point, and whether or not it's a good purchase based on its build quality and the support team it has behind it. So let's get into this review and see what it's all about. First off, let's talk about how I was able to get this for free. Okay, so I purchased this on an eBay bid or an offer, so to speak. And then what ended up happening is I got the printer and it arrived damaged. The screen was cracked, like so, okay? So I wasn't able to verify if anything worked. The seller on there opened up a claims report. It would take 2 weeks. He decided that that was too long, and or the seller decided that that was too long for me to wait because there was no way for me to validate if anything else was broke. So the seller offered me an incentive to just get a refund of a percentage of whatever I needed to cover this in order for me to start buying parts while we waited. They said that they couldn't refund me partial, so I told them, hey, you could send me the money through PayPal since that's how I paid for it, and it would generate a track record so that way they would, you know, if anything were to happen for both parties, they could see in PayPal how much they refund it and all that for the eBay guarantee, right? He decided, or the seller decided to actually say, you know what, I'll give you a full refund just because I'm sorry for the inconvenience of the wait time. I was expecting a printer to print right away. So I was like, that's awesome, you know, on the seller's part. And that being said, that goes to show you that, you know, there are good people out there that are willing to do the right thing. But on my end, I told them, hey, here's my phone number because they needed to generate a report. If anything were to arise, just give me a call, let me know, you know, and, you know, we could figure things out because, I mean, for them just to give me a full refund was amazing, especially since I already got this at a decent price. That was awesome, you know. Okay, so that being said, why did I purchase a used unit? So the reason why I decided to go with the used unit was because, first of all, I know Prusa's an amazing company. A lot of people rant and rave about them, but I wasn't too concerned with the company as I was this particular machine. Most of the machines like the Ender, smaller size build volume, bigger than this, equivalent to their next one up, they all have supports on this side. So having this gantry just hanging out here kind of concerned me. So I was like on the fence about, you know, actually going through with this, instead just saving up and buying the larger model and then putting the smaller nozzle. Because I do have larger printers. I have a CR10 and I also have the Black Widow. The Black Widow's kind of not as reliable. It has some issues right now, and the same thing is because of the display. I actually purchased a new display for the Black Widow, but it turns out that the plugs on the back, the wires are flip-flopped on the new one, so I don't know what's going on there. But that being said, I needed something that was on the smaller scale, okay? Because you buy a large printer and it's great and all because you could just swap the nozzles and print large or small parts. The issue with that is you do it a few times and it becomes a hassle, right? And you don't want to put a small nozzle on a large printer because you can't print it as fast, right? You have the bed moving back and forth, and what ends up happening is you can't move that mass as fast, especially if you run glass. I like to run glass, so that adds extra weight. With the smaller printer, you could run that smaller nozzle and you could print it super fast because there's less weight getting shifted around, right? So all your prints and stops are basically spot on because you're not moving a lot of weight that you need to come to a complete stop. So that's the reason why I was looking for a smaller printer, okay? So that's the background on why I chose this. Now, the reason for Prusa. So Prusa, you know, you get what you pay for. I ordered So first off, in order for you to order any parts, and I think this is to protect them, you need to be able to generate this little tag here and tell them that you own this printer or get it transferred into your name by making an account. But I think that's so people just don't buy these, try to resell them or steal any of the information off of them unless they actually bought a Prusa to begin with, which had me, you know, on the fence at first, because I was like, well, what if I bought this and there was no way for me to get the guy to, you know, transfer it over to me. But all you need is the little tag on the side, tell them that you're now the new owner, and they do it right away. It was all over the messenger on their website, so everything went really fast. Okay, now comes the great part on the Prusa end of why you should own a Prusa to begin with. So they're overseas and stuff. I told them that I had a cracked screen. I ended up purchasing this thing like right away. Okay, so the same day I got my refund, I purchased this part. It got sent over with the matter of I think less than a week or something like that. It was super fast. I didn't expect that to happen just because there's all these delays overseas and stuff. But I mean, this thing came super fast and I was amazed. So first off, that's why just that encounter has me sold on Prusa to begin with. They were just amazing. You know, you need something fixed, they were right there to message me back right away, real time, and send me the part. Of course, the part was expensive. This runs $70, so theoretically I'm $70 invested, but it is what it is, okay? Before we go into the detailed components here, let's briefly go over what I have or what I got from the seller. I got PLA matte dew white. He sent that over. I got the power brick. Of course, that came with the Prusa machine. You get the spool, little trolley there, so that way it prints. That's one of the downfalls to a smaller printer, is the fact that the spool holder is still separate. They also, we'll get into the details of the build, you know, parts that you can add to this, but I mean, you could 3D print stuff to work around that type of stuff, okay? I don't know if these came with it, but I got cutters. I got, you know, the parts pack, got the USB. That's actually a really nice USB. It's not one of those cheap plastic ones. It's actually metal, okay? Of course, I got the old screen, and then this comes with, if you purchase the screen, it comes with another ribbon cable. I didn't need that. You get the manual. It's pretty cool because you get the handbook on one side, and then you flip it around and you read, and you got the assembly manual on the other side. So you don't have to sit there and flip through all these pages. You just rotate the book, right? Pretty cool. You get an Allen. I have a few extra screws in here. I don't know what they're for. Maybe they were extra just in case you lose something. Like I said, I purchased this used, so I don't quite know. And I got two build sheets, the two different ones that they sell. All right, so that's all I got, and basically all I had to do was mount this side to the base, and it was all put together for the most part. I don't know if that's how Prusa actually breaks it down for you for the one that's already assembled or not, but we'll go into the details on what to look for when you assemble that, because if you don't know, it's a little bit complicated to figure things out, but their book does a good job at instructing you on how to. But if you don't read this, you're gonna have a tough time bolting it together because everything's like intricate. So we'll go into those details. Okay, so this one, of course, or this Prusa Mini has the filament sensor run out, which is pretty cool. And this is the Plus, so this is the newer generation. But during assembly, what you need to look for is bolting this unit up to the base here. What you need to do is, there's a bolt that goes here, a bolt that goes here, so here and here, and then one that goes on the top. So if I move this forward, there's one that goes right here. And they got a T-slot system. So in these grooves here, they actually have a little slide that is in there, and you got to line all those up. Of course, on this box right here, it has little clamps that look like something like this, little fingers, and those things slide right into the middle of them to align them, so you don't have to worry too much. What I ended up doing was using my Allen key and sticking it in the hole when I slid over the little T-slot nuts, and that allowed me to assemble it a lot faster. Okay, and then you want to make sure you remove this top, so that way you could plug in the wires as needed. So the bed, of course, goes to this side. Okay, this is the bed wire. Then across from it is this wire here that goes to the motors up here. And then you have this little thin wire right here, let's follow it back, that adds your filament sensor. And that goes behind, up against this post here, right there. It goes behind that. And everything has like notches to feed this out in the right areas. It amazed me by how easy this thing went together when I pushed this on, how everything aligned, simple and straightforward. And I mean, the overall build quality is pretty cool. They spent a lot of time in designing this for sure. But one bolt holds this whole cover on, so once you pop off that bolt, then this whole unit pops off. They have vents all the way around it. I'm pretty sure you've seen, if you're interested in this machine, you've seen other people's reviews. So I won't go into too much details, but you have your USB right here. You have, I believe this is a reset button, and then you have a little, what is this? Micro USB connection port here, your on and off switch, your Ethernet cable, and then your power cable. Okay, like I said, I just barely got this machine assembled, so I mean, I haven't printed anything on it. I just wanted to touch base on how I got this machine, and there's going to be future projects that are going to be generated on here. So if you're interested in that, once I get this fully set up, definitely stay tuned for that, because I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew the situation on this printer. And if you're interested in anything Prusa, they're a great company, and I wanted to share that with you, as well as the seller that sold me this printer. All right, the nice thing about the screen, and I'll light this up right now, just like so. Okay, one thing about Prusa that I like is everything's open source. That's why you see a lot of copies of their stuff now. But if you broke like something like this screen case or cover, or even something like this, you could always print them because they have those files. Also, they have files that allow you to lift this higher, so little feet, so that way your ribbon cable like this for cable management, which isn't the best for the ribbon cable to the screen, and the wire, let me flip it upside down so you can see. So those two wires, not the best cable management, but they do make parts like that, and the community makes parts like that for you to be able to work around those things. Also, the power cable that it comes with is super long, so it's a great addition to any printer because you don't have to worry about an extension cable. Okay, so as you can see, everything's super fast and in color, so that's pretty neat. Okay, super fast in color, everything displays perfectly. I still got the little pull tab for the display, and then you also got the ability to rotate this. So the tighter you screw that screw in, the tighter this will be, so don't tighten it too tight. That's another tip. But if you want it out of the way for storage, boom, you just lay it flat. Okay. For this filament setup, as far as the extruder is concerned, the extruder's back here on the up and down gantry section. Okay, and it's running a Bowden setup. The nice thing about this setup is it's a short tube, so you don't have to worry about a lag, especially in stretchy filaments or stretchable filaments like TPU. The longer this tube is, so if you have a larger machine, of course this tube's going to have to be longer. That's going to have a drastic change in the retraction rate, right? So when you push, it's going to push that the filament down the hot end, but it's going to have some springing action. And the longer this tube is, or the larger your printer is, the longer that's going to take. And then for it to retract, it's going to pull, and then there's going to be an elastic like rubber band effect, and it's going to be multiplied if this is longer. So having a Bowden setup on a smaller printer is great, because you could run your hot end super fast, you know, because it's lighter weight. You don't have a motor on here just hanging out there. So you don't have to worry about a motor, you know, putting weight on here, throwing with its inertia, the weight, just throwing your print off, because it's going from a fast acceleration to a stop and then back the other way. Having this lightweight means you could print a lot faster. And having this short tube makes the Bowden setup good for something like this. For a larger printer like the CR10, I mean, you know, for regular filament it might be okay, but I'm definitely swapping that out for a direct drive system for the CR10, just because I don't like the lag of it. But you could also print faster, so it's a trade-off. Okay, so for the gantry part, you have your linear bearings right here, and you have your lead screw in the center. That's pretty nicely set up. All this area is 3D printed, in which your Z-axis is driven on this lead screw here, and then you have on the back side, of course, your extruder Bowden setup, the drive. You have a brass fitting here which connects all this stuff. It would be nice if this was a push to connect, so that way, you know, swapping this out would be a lot easier. Since in this instance, I don't know if there's a ferrule in there. I haven't taken it apart to that extent, but if there is, that means you need brass fittings, because those crimp down on this tubing. So that being said, everything's 3D printed, but like super robust, so that's nice. You have your motor up here mounted on a 3D printed plate. Let's see, there we go. So you have a 3D printed plate up here. So your little wheel right here, in which the belt rides on, is also in a 3D printed housing. Also where it's terminated for your linear bearings, it's 3D printed. One thing that has me concerned, I don't know if this is too much of a concern though, for most, is the fact that I could take this and twist it like so. So I don't know if maybe I need to look closer, but maybe this is broke or something in here is broken due to shipping damage. But as you can see, this whole thing is tilted. You got to sit there and square it up, or look down there and square it up. And that's the reason why having a gantry that's hanging out like so, I was hesitant, because stuff like this could occur, especially because these aren't linear rails. They're cylindrical, so they naturally want to rotate. Having a linear bearing on like an I-beam style setup, those would actually keep their structure, because whatever they mount to inside, or if they had a plate, would allow them to stay square. This could rotate. So I'll look into that, and that's future stuff. No big deal, because like I said, I got this for pretty cheap, so I'm not too concerned about this stuff. Just something to point out. Also, this right here for the cooling fan cams up and down. And I don't know if this is supposed to be placed all the way in there. So I need to look into that stuff, okay? Right here you have your tensioner. So let's bring you down. So right here you have a tensioner that you screw this screw in and it'll pull on this belt system. This one seems loose, but I don't know if that's because of the design or if something's messed up on it, okay? That being said, this kind of concerns me too, because having this loose, I don't know how that's going to affect the prints. But Prusa is a great company, so I mean, I'm pretty sure they thought this out, especially if they're switching their whole farm to these, which makes sense because they could print way more volume for the same amount of space that they have. So that just goes to show you that they're going to be updating this all the time and giving you the best of the best, because that's what they're using. Okay. What I'm going to do for you right now is I'm just going to move this around. So I'm just going to do a auto home just so you can see it move and see how smooth that is. That's another reason why I like this Prusa machine. Of course, we don't have a bed top, but because it's in the bag, I haven't, like I said, I haven't spent enough time with this. But like I said, having this whole unit set up is great because I don't have to think about how to print, you know. All I do is design what I need to do, plug in the G code and print. So for beginners, this is a great, you know, starter machine. If you're more experienced, then go ahead and look at those Chinese style machines like the Ender series machines, because, you know, those will require a learning curve, but there's also support behind that. When I bought my first printer, which was the Black Widow, you know, the support system sucked and everything was trial and error. So if you're not tech savvy, I would definitely recommend going with the company that has a reputation and that is there to support you as a creator. Because if not, you're just going to get frustrated with the product and that money's going to be lost, right? So go with the company that's reputable, even if you have to save up for a little bit more, a little bit longer, just to get a great machine, okay? But as I could tell right here, the majority of the parts, especially at the price point that this comes in at, are really well made. So that's cool, okay? This says it's a 24-volt system, which is nice because hopefully it just takes less time to heat up anything, right? You get more power, you heat it up faster, so that's great. The overall aspect of this is you get what you pay for, right? If you're new to 3D printing, I definitely recommend you going with a company that's tried and true, that has a support team that can figure out your issues. Also, with Prusa in particular, they're fast at giving you your product, and I could attest to that, of course, because of the screen. But also, everything's 3D printed, or a lot of the components are 3D printed that could be 3D printed. And the nice thing about that is if you break something, you could just go and print one, right? Or you could print them in different colors if you don't like the color that it comes with. So that's great. Another thing is when you go and, you know, purchase a machine like Prusa, since they have their print farm printing their printers on the printers that they already printed, the nice thing about that is any little adjustments like speed where they could, you know, maybe pick up a few seconds here and there, they're going to program that into their printer to make it print flawlessly, or what they could do to actually make their print a lot nicer, cleaner. They're going to do that on their end, and then they pass that over into the consumer market, or, you know, the buyer, and you could upload that to your printer yourself. So that's nice because you don't have to go through all the trial and error to figure stuff out. Also, there's a community behind it, right? So everyone that buys into the community, not just Prusa, but other communities, people are always building stuff to make their machines nicer. And One thing that Prusa has is actual legs that you can print out to lift this up higher. So you have, you know, a platform to set this on. So that's what you're buying into when you buy into a company like Prusa, okay? So you get what you pay for. That being said, let's talk about why I haven't been uploading as often, okay? You may be wondering why I haven't posted or the stuff I've been posting has been, you know, brief and stuff like that. You know, with work and with my car, I've been having a lot of, you know, time dedicated to that stuff. But for the car in particular, I've been back and forth with the body shop because earlier it got wrecked it got ran over by a semi truck, or the back bumper did. And what is ended up happening is, with all that being said, I get the car painted, fixed, it comes back, the paint flakes. Well, with the Nissan 370Z, the body lines are so tight that with the 3-stage paint, it's not a great paint according to the body shop, and they can't do nothing about it, but it rubs. So any movement of the car, the paint ends up rubbing and then it flakes. So it's been a back and forth process, getting rentals, sending it back, going down there. They don't have enough coverage. That's another thing, is pearl white paint. The issue with that is, you know, it's like a translucent color. So anything in the background, the bumper's painted black, primered black to begin with, that stuff could show through. So if they don't got enough coverage, it bleeds through, and then they got to paint over it again. So there's an abundance of things that are situated with that, and that's just been taking a lot of my time. Also, dealing with stuff like this, broken parts, you know, things I've been purchasing, broken parts, that stuff's been kind of hindering my video output and video quality, because it's tough to set up stuff, you know, and get situated and try to figure it out at the same time, versus, you know, being able to get something, assemble it, and show you guys how it works. So that's what I've been dealing with. Another thing I've been doing is I've been looking heavily, doing research into a wood CNC, which is upcoming videos. Once I get that in, I'm gonna assemble it, do all that stuff to show you guys, you know, the wood CNC process, not just 3D printing, but also that realm. I'm new to that, so I got to figure that stuff out. So there's been a lot of dedication and research into that, so that way I could start designing my own stuff for the holidays, or even just like stuff around the house that you may need, like cabinets and different things, cool stuff, signs that you might want to plaster on the wall, do DIY stuff like that. So that being said, my time's been dedicated to those events as well. So I'm trying to ponder everything out, you know. But, you know, that's why I have this channel as well, so that way you guys can learn with me as I learn, to make it a lot more efficient for you to understand, and maybe moving forward, get you guys into maybe doing something similar if you're interested in that stuff. But recently, you know, looking in and doing research takes a lot of time, especially if you don't understand it right off the bat, or you haven't taken classes. Stuff like that takes time to understand, and I want to relay that message as easily and efficiently as possible to you once I get that stuff all sorted out. But that's going to complete today's video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting in the near future, consider subscribing. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for stopping by. See you all in the next one.